Good soup. Think about the ways that it should, and don't get twisted. I love actually anyone. Like, no one is being targeted or bashed in like appointed naming. Hello and happy Sunday or whatever day that you are watching this. So today I wanted to address a topic that I feel like I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about. A lot of the Black women that I know online, specifically on YouTube, I would say, are doing social commentary type of videos. So I'm talking about, some of my faves like Lynette, like Khadijah, T Noir, Amanda, those types of people. And then I became curious as to why Black women are so prevalent in this particular genre on YouTube. And I really want to trouble this impulse to think about our relationship to Black women as purely one that's extractive, wherein they are the purveyors of knowledge. It's their job, our job, to impart it onto other people. Like, what would it look like if Black people got to be carefree online, specifically on YouTube, but on other, what would it mean if Black women got to be carefree online in the ways that non-Black folks get to be carefree online? And I guess to add more precision to that, the ways that white people get to be carefree online and monetize that carefreeness and package that carefreeness in ways that reach a wider audience and sort of contribute to this wealth gap that exists in the creator economy. So the intent of today's video is to think more about the ways that we interact with Black women online, how we might begin to think about those relationships differently, and what a more equitable YouTube creator space might look and feel like. As some disclaimers for this video, I want to say I'm not bashing actually anyone. Like, no one is being targeted or bashed in like a pointed naming names type of way. I think what I'm trying to do is point out power dynamics that I see so that we can all be more aware of them. I'm just thinking out loud, musing out loud with you all, in the hopes that it will be generative for someone somewhere. Okay, so my first argument is that Black women should not be solely valued based on their ability to educate. And this would seem fairly straightforward or fairly agreeable, but I think there are ways in which we expect Black women to educate. But I think a lot of the discourses that were happening last summer around white fragility, racial justice, and all the protests that were happening regarding George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's murder really prompted conversations around who's doing the emotional labor, who's doing the heavy lifting around these difficult conversations. And if you recall, take yourself back to that very challenging summer, a lot of Black folks are saying, stop asking us to do that work for you. Stop asking us to educate you. Non-Black folks need to have the wherewithal to do that work themselves, because we cannot experience this trauma and then also have the intense and emotionally draining responsibility of teaching it to others. Or if we do decide to do that, it shouldn't be because it's something that's expected. It should be because that's what we genuinely want to do with our time and efforts. And I think this conversation, in a lot of ways, does translate to what I'm addressing in this video. While I love my Lynettes and my Khadijahs and my Amandas and my T Noirs of the internet and absolutely want them to continue the work that they're doing, I wish that we could have more carefree Black women on the internet be incredibly successful. And don't get it twisted, I love me some white creators, okay? Emma Chamberlain, chef's kiss. I think one of the things that drew me to Emma Chamberlain is that her videos are just so fun and goofy and carefree, especially like the earlier videos where she was a little younger. Like, she would, hop on and she had this acne on her face and like her hair in a bun, and she was allowed to be exactly who she was in this moment. She could just come as she was and be funny and be goofy. And I think most people have that in them to a large extent, but it's like, who gets to actually monetize that? And we can talk all day about the perils of monetizing a certain like lived aesthetic, or the perils of monetizing, your life in that way, or your personality in that way, in a way that almost becomes like a self-caricaturing. But what would it mean for Black women to be able to show up in the internet in that carefree type of way? Like, what if I just rolled up in my next video and I was breaking out and I had my hair in a bun and the whole video was me like making a grilled cheese sandwich? Because that's the kind of stuff that Emma Chamberlain does. But I can't think of any Black women creators who do the kind of work that Emma Chamberlain does, for example, with almost 11 million followers. That person doesn't exist to my knowledge. And I do think that says something pretty profound about who is allowed to be joyful and get paid to be joyful. And it's high time that we celebrate Black women's joy and Black joy writ large just as much, if not more, than we celebrate the ability to articulate suffering and pain and trauma. And both are important. But I guess this is like a both and situation. That's what I'm arguing for, both and, that we hold space for the multiplicities of Blackness and allowing all those different kinds of Blacknesses to shine through and be celebrated. And something else that I've noticed that's really interesting is even all of these folks who do social commentary that I keep sort of mentioning over and over again, a lot of them do also create lifestyle content for fun, because once you add value to people's lives on a platform like YouTube, they want to learn more about you, the person. Like maybe, you know, you're doing a social commentary video, but they love your hair. And so you get comments asking, you know, what do you do to take care of your hair and things like that. So I have noticed that a lot of these creators also make lifestyle content. But if you look at the numbers of, you know, the views, the interactions on those videos, their social commentary videos are always, and certainly, if not always, almost always, outperforming their lifestyle content. So even when Black folks, Black women, are able to have some modicum of success sharing their lives in these more carefree ways, it's still very clear that the people who are consuming what they are providing much prefer when they're teaching us. It's not to say that it's not difficult to make lifestyle content, because definitely it is, but I think it's a different kind of labor that goes into intensively researching a very challenging or racially sensitive topic and packaging it in a cohesive way to present, versus I'm making a smoothie this morning and I filmed it, and then I went to school and I filmed it. And I feel like I can say this because I've done both, and there's labor to both, but it's a different kind of labor. That's what I'm trying to get at. The second observation that I have is that it's very interesting to me that Black folks, and specifically, honestly, Black trans women, are drivers of culture in these social media spaces, but very seldom get the credit and recognition deserved for those contributions. And furthermore, it's often non-Black people who are able to monetize the cultural contributions that these Black folks are making. My question is, what does it mean that non-Black folks are able to memify Blackness, take up the cultural contributions of Black folks, and see returns on those taking ups, right? Like there is an economy around this extractive relationship to Blackness. But when Black people tap into their own cultural productions in that same way, they don't see the same returns. I think this is very troubling. Something else I'm thinking about is how I would really love to see more demographic data and generally just more quantitative data about YouTube users, YouTube creators, and what racial and ethnic groups are being paid the most, because I don't think that information is widely circulated, but we do know that there's a huge wealth gap in the creator economy. So I found this article on Forbes that talks about the top 10 creators that are making the most money on YouTube. And literally not one of them is Black, let alone a Black woman. And in fact, most of them are white people. And of those white people, most of them are white men. I don't know, I don't think it's like a brown graping? I don't think it's a groundbreaking observation that white men are celebrated in an inordinate amount in our society. But I do think it is interesting to think more about how the ways that we celebrate whiteness are permeating social media and digital spaces and creator economies. I found this other really interesting article on Vox where the writer is talking about this wealth gap and how a huge way that creators make their money is through these sponsorships, right? Through brand deals. We're all familiar with this at this point. Most YouTube videos that you watch nowadays from creators with 50,000 or more followers, give or take, have some kind of sponsorship on them. But the thing about sponsorships is it's not really controlled. So a sponsor isn't going to every creator and offering the same kinds of deals or monies. It's in large part dependent on what the creator demands. And as Black femme, Black women, identifying folks, when you've been imbued with messages your whole life that you're less than, that you're worth less, that you have to work twice as hard to get half as much, you know, studies show that women in general, but especially Black women, are less apt to ask for more money. And in fact, will undervalue themselves tremendously in situations where they have to put a price tag on their own worth. And this to me is just so sad because of the point that we were just talking about. Like, how is it that the people, the demographics that are driving the digital sphere and digital cultures reaping the least benefits and being paid the least? Things not adding up. In summary, I really appreciate Black women who create social commentary videos. My argument is not that we should stop doing that work. We should never stop doing that work, but that we need to be celebrated in all the things that we bring to this YouTuber space, not just educating people. And I do think that YouTube is slowly trying to make more spaces for that with their Black Creators campaign, which I was personally really excited to see. And I hope that we continue down that path of uplifting and celebrating Blackness, Black people, and Black women, and all of our multiplicity. We really need to make space for Black women to bear the fruits of their contributions in these digital spaces. And this looks like not only crediting people appropriately, so not just stealing the work of Black creators, but also paying Black creators accordingly. In a meta way, this is me offering social commentary on the valorization of Black women creating social commentary videos. So this exchange, what I'm doing right now, is social commentary. Even on my own channel, I've noticed that my social commentary videos, my sit down talking, explaining videos do much better than my lifestyle content. So seeing it play out on other people's channels, seeing it play out on my channel, it's just really fascinating to me. And I hope that we can just create more space for Black women to express themselves in many ways and become very successful and monetized and all these different things, not just for teaching us, but also for entertaining us in many other ways. Thanks so much for watching my video, and I'll see you all in a couple of days with a new one. Take care. Bye.